Welcome to a gaming video on the GPT MicroPC. It's been a while since I've done a video, but I had other things to do, and I was waiting for this accessory to be made. This is made by Deenox Don, who created this joycon mount, which uses Nintendo Switch controllers. They slide in place, and you got tabs up front that lock the front, and then there's a tab on the back that you have to 3D print. So you slide that in. And this is part from this angle, click it in, and voila. It also makes it so if you set it down on a flat surface, you're not going to have, choke the airflow. So all you have to do to connect these is, he uses a different method, which I can't remember. I use Xjoy. You pair both controllers through Bluetooth and run Xjoy, which, let's hit that. This emulates the Xbox 360 controller. Those are working. So now we go to Steam, Subnautica, that's what we'll be playing today, and let's launch. Close that. There's a few different firmwares on the available for the MicroPC at this point. 4.09 is what launched from the factory. There's 4.10, which is an unlocked BIOS, which you can only get from a GPD staff member on the GPD Discord, because there's a lot of unlocked options, and you can brick your device if you don't know what you're doing. Then there's 4.11, 4.12 I don't think was ever publicly released, and then 4.13 is the most recent available one. I'm using 4.10 to disable the Intel DPTF or DTPF. Oh shoot, I can't remember which way it is, but it has a tendency to thermally throttle after a bit, and I needed to disable that if I'm trying to game. So as a quick heads up, I'm running the RTSS pulling sensor info from hardware info. And this is the amount of RAM I have available because I have a 4GB model. Production units are 8GB. That's the first two cores. I skipped the second two cores, the frequencies, because I don't have much space. That's total CPU usage, system temperature, total system TDP, and then graphics frequency, and remaining battery capacity. So those are things that are helpful to know when I'm doing these types of tests. Now this will take a little bit to load, so I'll pause this and be right back. And we're back. We're loaded in at the beginning of the game. Let me try to... Okay, that's not working. Let's just do this. You can see FPS in the bottom left corner right there. I'm currently at 29. Let's put this away. 26. FPS is the lowest so far. Let's climb outside the escape pod. And there's a crash ship. 23s, I hit a low right there. And for graphic options, I am running at 640 by 360, which would look terrible if you're running it on a full HD, like large desktop monitor, but on this small screen, it doesn't look terrible. You can see we're kind of running a constant 10 watt. Graphics frequencies hovering at 450 to 500. If I can actually set TDP to higher, so I'll run at a constant around 13 watts, and I'll maintain a solid 700 megahertz for the GPU frequency, and I'll get better frame rate from that. But that's unlocked. Given that you can only do that through the unlocked BIOS, that's not really a fair test for anyone who wants to do this out of the without going into the BIOS settings. So let's just wander around a bit. How do I pull out my fire extinguisher? There we go. Whee! You can see CPU clocks at generally around 2000 megahertz. 24 FPS. That seems what you run average at a 10 watt. You can see the controls work well. Let me pull this out back a little. All right, let's not die. No lag or slow delayed response for the controls. Let's just swim. Controls have worked pretty well so far. I've been doing some Dolphin emulation for GameCube. I've been playing through Metroid Prime without any issues. And then I got some other games I'll test in a bit. Gotta get my acid mushrooms. It runs better on the Win 2, obviously, but that's a lot. In every way, that's more powerful. But I'm satisfied with how this runs, especially if you want to use the unlock BIOS and run it at 13 watt TDP. It will drain your battery in a little over 2 hours, though. But that's kind of what you get for such a small device. Let's stick this on something. Where's those whales? Unless it sticks to me instead. That'd be awkward. Hey. Hey, want a floaty? Hey. If I stick enough to him, will he float? Let's turn the volume up. And not die. Also be helpful. You can see at 10 watt TDP when you're kind of pushing it, capped there. When you're a solid 10 watts, you'll run around 70 Celsius, which isn't terrible for this when you're constantly running at that TDP. Now, if I was running at the 6 watt TDP and it was constantly 70 Celsius, I'd be worried. But that's been fine from what I've tested at 6 watt. Although obviously performance will be lower. Swimming through tunnels, grab me some quartz.
Detecting sulfur deposits in the local cave systems. Sulfur is an essential component of the repair tool.
Yeah, sulfur, those exploding suicide bombers. Let me get back to the pod. And let's not have this video run too long when I'm just going around in circles. Just showing off frame rate. Hey, come on, get in there. And there we go. And that's kind of how Subnautica runs at 10 watt, unless you want to run at 13 watt, which at 13 watt. I've gotten up to 45 FPS. It generally goes from 30 to the 45, which is fully playable, whereas this is kind of on the edge depending upon if you want to do it. I'm just kind of doing these videos because the Win 2 is $650, $700. It's quite pricey. The Win 1 was pretty flawed, and there's no real sweet point. If you can get this for $300, $400 less than the Win 2, you can do some gaming if you use this joycon attachment, or if you just hook up an Xbox 360 controller separately. I'm just doing these tests to show what it can do, what its limitations are, and that'll probably be the end of this. I won't have it go on too long. So that'll be it for this video. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.